for a start off, we're just going to do a couple of let's get to know Arielle a little bit type questions. So, first off, how's lockdown and the COVID situation been treating you?
Well, I'm sure, like a lot of people, it's been difficult on so many levels. I was touring most of the year for the past 5 years. I had this record, this funny personal record of mine that I was never in one spot longer than 3 weeks because I was
Right.
just constantly on the move. So to not have that, especially at the beginning of last year, whenever that was, I was in the UK. I'm usually based there. Just right now, I'm not until this stuff settles down. But right when March hit, for most of the year, I was pretty hardcore depressed because just transitioning from the life of touring to okay, now you're not touring and you're in lockdown for months, and then because of COVID, a bunch of things got delayed. The album was recorded in October of 2019. So all this was done before COVID. So yeah, really depressing, but also really great because it allowed me to kind of reevaluate a lot in my life and also find new things that I like to do alongside of music. Um, and
Such
now,
as what?
well, gardening and planting trees has been, I spend hours a day on that, usually in the morning and then at night after I'm done working, um, which has been really fun. Maybe we'll talk about that later, but
Is that at home or is that in like a community?
so there's a lot of land by me. I when I'm here in the US, I make sure I have lots of space around me because I'm the neighbor you would never want. I'm I mean only in the regard that I'm extremely loud. I'm always playing guitar loudly and especially if you're locked up at home, you would hate your life if I were next to you.
Okay.
And
Well,
I don't
bear
know.
in mind, I've heard you play guitar, so I find that unlikely. So,
Even when it's like decent playing for as long as I do, and then in the middle of the night, like you'd hate your life. And it's my neighbors in the UK are probably that way too. But so I have lots of land around me, and what I've done is it's a bunch of just empty lots. So I've started buying up the lots and then clearing out the shrubs and things that fast growing kind of invasive species, and then I've been from seed learning how to grow tonewood trees. So the woods that we're cutting down and the trees we're cutting down for guitars and musical instruments. And I've been learning how
mhm.
to grow each one from a little baby seed, which is a lot harder than you think. Some of them have
Wow.
to be in the fridge for 2 months. Some of them have to, you nick a little thing and then I grow them hydroponically. And they all have their own thing because they're all from everywhere from India to Brazil to Ghana. So lots of species of trees, and that's been my major passion. I don't know if I would have had the time to get into. So lockdown has been very difficult for me emotionally, but also very rewarding in a lot of other ways too.
But that's a complete move away from what you're used to, isn't it? I mean, music is such a concentrated, and in many ways, quite a solo activity.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
And sorry, you also have an instant result with music as well, sort of.
you're right. I'm very impatient. And and maybe it's good. I mean, I buy a lot of these seeds just online, and as mentioned, some of them have to be in the ground for 3 months before you even see just a little sprout. And I'm
Right.
emailing the lady and complaining and like, why are the seeds not coming up? Like, how long is it? Like a week? She's like, oh, you gotta wait 3 months. I'm like, but so I'm used to instant gratification. So maybe it's good for me to continue to develop some patience with these trees and some of the other plants. Like grow some lettuce, it'll grow pretty quick. But the trees
Yes.
take a long time, hence why we need to be protecting them and why I'm trying to do this in the first place. The ebony seeds that I've got and some of these trees that I actually use on my guitars, they take 60 to 80 years too mature. So, and I'm impatient. So
Yeah.
I won't be alive when some of these mature.
Yeah, but in the grand scheme of things, 60 to 80 years isn't really that long.
It's a long, long time. Yeah, you're right. In the grand scheme of things, it's nothing. It's a blip. But
Yeah, exactly. You joined the Peninsula Girls Chorus age 5. Were you from a musical family then?
no, both my parents are doctors, actually. So I was,
Medical doctor.
yeah, my dad was a pathologist and my mom is a periodontist. So they're both
Okay.
specialists. They're both people you don't want to see.
Okay.
For it's not a pleasant experience to see either one. Um, so yeah, I was just the kid that sang all the time, and when I was in preschool, my little teachers that were there, and you sing, kids songs when you're little, and they're like, hey, she sings really well, you might want to do something with her. So they said okay, and wanted me to have an extracurricular activity, so they threw me in a choir.
And then got you a guitar age 10.
Yeah, they weren't very excited, especially not my dad, because they really wanted me to have the classical training, because they went to school for 12 years. They wanted me to, if I'm going to be a musician, then I should be schooled and I should, start with some classical training. So they weren't excited about getting me an electric guitar for my 10th birthday, but my dad caved and got me this knockoff Fender Strat guitar. It's a trans red, so you could see the wood grain underneath, and it was just a knockoff Fender. And I wanted to have a guitar like Brian May, so I got a red guitar.
Okay, so have you still got it?
No, it got stolen. A few years later,
Oh,
my house got broken into, and they stole. I had two guitars, and they stole them both.
oh man, that's just so wrong on every level.
I know. And they weren't expensive. Who steals like a 12-year-old kid's guitar? But someone
That's,
did.
that's just wrong on so many levels. You've described the guitar that you got as being your soulmate, which
Yeah.
is, which which is really cute and really quite. It's really quite eye-opening, I suppose. Why your soulmate? That's a really nice way of describing a guitar.
Oh, thank you. Well, I've been playing I've been playing guitar now for 20 years. It makes me sound old, but I've been playing two-tone for 14 of those years.
Right.
So I've actually been playing two-tone longer than I haven't at this point. And 14 years for someone my age, and I think for anyone really, that's a long time to know anyone or anything. I mean, you're lucky if you get a dog that lasts that long. And then if you have a friend I don't think I have many friends that outdate my connection, my friendship with my guitar. I think I've got
Uh-huh.
two people I know. So especially with the amount of times I've moved and traveled, and also the experience of what I wanted from a guitar, it was very much um, custom to what I wanted to do. I drew the guitar from scratch. We made the guitar from scratch, and the story behind the friend that I had who helped me and then who ended up disappearing and I still cannot find. Um, it just has it's hard to find a connection like that with any object.
Mm.
Me, if I would be very upset if the place that I'm at burnt down and everything that I owned got destroyed, but it's all replaceable really, to me, except
Yeah.
for that guitar, because something happened when we built that, and I think it was a magic kind of thing, like a meant to be one of a kind thing. And I say that because I have 10 variations of my guitar, at least 10, I think. And every time I kept trying to make it better. I kept trying to say, well, this part really was done in an amateur way, because we didn't know what we were doing really. He knew more than me, but he'd only made a few guitars. But there was a magic in that moment that is impossible to recreate that I didn't
Mm.
know. So after me feeling like it taught me how to play guitar, and the 14 years that I've had of playing that guitar almost exclusively, I need it to play music. If I don't have it, I don't know if I'd be interested in playing guitar anymore, to be honest.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like it sort of becomes pretty much a part of you as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, you feel if you picked up another guitar and you'd feel the different weight, you'd hear the different sound, the different tone. Yeah, it's very much like a part, like I say, a part of you. I can't really put it another way.
Yeah, it's not something that you could that you can remake. And trust me, I've tried. I've tried so many times to recreate two-tone to be equal or better, and I can't. So after knowing it that long, every time I go to pick it up, it's behind me. It's actually this one right here.
Right. Okay.
Um,
Oh
I
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, there's a few there, but that's the one. Every time I pick it up, I'm like, oh hi. It just feels very. I just feel lucky every time I pick it up. So it's something that's hard to um, explain unless you have a similar experience. But I feel very honored to have such a friend for as long as I have.
I have a similar thing with a pen. There you go. Because I write a lot, so
Yeah,
I have my final draft pen, and I use that. So
it's
yeah,
nice,
yeah,
isn't it? Like a
yeah. It is. It's just got a weight and it's got a balance, and it writes nicely. So yeah, it's nice. Yeah. Um, you got your degree, your college degree at university in Los Angeles, and then you came to London.
Mhm.
That's a bit of a cultural shift.
Oh,
Had that been the first time you came to London?
yes. So I was an insane person, and I was living in LA at the time. I graduated school early when I was 16, and I moved to Los Angeles and started going to Musicians Institute right right by my 17th birthday. And so after I finished MI, when I was 18, I moved to London because Brian and I had connected, and I was gonna do the "We Will Rock You" thing. So I I got a visa to be a student in the UK, and I was going to music school there as well. And I just got on a plane and went. I'd never been to England. I'd been overseas, but never alone. And I I just moved. I got a bunch of and this was before Facebook was really a thing. I mean, it was a thing, but not as much as it is now in 2008. And I didn't have a smartphone. I didn't have anything. I had a flip phone, and it was a different time. Thinking about doing that now would without a smartphone and at that age is insane to me. But yeah, so ever since I was 18 years old, I've considered myself U.S. born but British bred because
Okay.
I spent so long there at this
But
point.
you've just mentioned Brian. That's Brian May. And you got a part in We Will Rock. Well, you were playing in We Will Rock It. Yeah.
Yeah.
But playing the songs of, I've got to say as well. I don't know if you can see behind me, but actually, I'm going to take my phone off its stand and I'm just going to show you. Okay. I am
Oh
a
yeah.
massive,
Oh wow.
huge. That's me and Brian there.
Wow.
I am a huge mega fan of Queen and of Brian. I've met Brian a couple of times. I've been fortunate enough to do that. Got to see him play with Freddie like 18 times, and I'm a massive fan, massive fan. But you've taken fandom to a different kind of level. You have not only played in one of the longest running musicals to be in the West End at the Dominion on Tottenham Court Road, but you've also had your guitar released under Brian May Guitar banner. That must be really exciting.
It's crazy. I honestly, I don't think I'm gonna believe it until I see somebody playing one of the guitars, especially because I'm the only person who's been playing these for as long as I've had two tone. So to see other people and then see the Brian May headstock on there, that's gonna be crazy. So yeah, it's wild. I didn't expect this to happen, and also it was my idea to do a guitar to make my guitar available for other people, only because I didn't know anyone would want one. People just kept asking me when I was on the road, "Hey, your guitar is really unique. How do I get that?" And I'm like, "Well, you can't." And that felt really selfish and weird. Like, why not? If people are asking. So a friend and I, we were just gonna make a couple every month, and that was gonna be it. Just have like a kind of a big price point because they were just gonna be handmade, American made. And I was touring the UK about 3 years ago, and I had lunch with Brian, and he was asking what I was doing. We were catching up, and I mentioned that to him, and he said, "Oh, well, who's putting them out?" And I said, "Oh, nobody, just myself and my friend." And he said, "Well, why doesn't Brian May Guitars do it?" And I was like, I was freaking out inside, but
Yeah. Oh, I can't think why.
Well, it's funny because he doesn't he's really wonderful. He respects me as a musician. He always has. Especially as I've known Brian as long as since 2007. So I've known him. I only know one friend equal to the length that I've known Brian. And Two Tone. There's literally Brian, who's probably my oldest friend that I've had the longest amount of time. And then there's Two Tone, my guitar, and then I have one friend. And so there's like a triage of
Yeah.
And anyway, he's always respected me. So he it's funny because I'll start gushing about something. He's like, "What, really?" I'm like, "Brian, I'm still a fan, you know."
Yeah. He's a remarkably approachable bloke, isn't he? You know, he is, like you say, he's just a lovely guy.
Yeah, he's very approachable. I don't know how I'm awkward and socially shy and introverted, and I know he can be that way, but he's just open and like he's the same way if you're close to him than if you're not. Just the way that he talks to you and approaches you, it's amazing. I can't do that.
And another link with Brian is Nuno Betancourt as well, because Brian produced the Extreme albums as well, didn't he? And you came out. How did your path with Nuno cross?
Well, it again, a complete accident. I was doing this hilarious thing where in 2009, I believe, or 2010, I had just come back from the UK. My visa expired, and I came back, and I was going to be doing my own solo thing. And I was doing choreography with the guitar. It was very funny looking back at it now. So the dancers that I was working with, they're like, "Hey, I know this producer guy," and I was like, "Yeah, okay." Everyone says that in LA, and you're like, "All right, we'll give them my phone number," and that usually just shuts people up because no one ever calls. Like everyone's a producer and a musician, so you say, "All right, we'll have them call me." Well, this guy named Carl calls me, and he's one of Nuno's best friends, and he said, "Hey, will you come down to my place, and I'd love to talk to you about what your musical goals are." So I go meet Carl, and Nuno was there, and he did not tell me Nuno was there. Right. So surprise. So it was kind of late. It was like 8:30 at night, and we jammed for a good 2 or 3 hours. And Nuno is very supportive of up and coming talent. He's a producer as well as kind of a visionary for. He helped me produce a music video and some music. Of course, he's a songwriter. He's a lot of different things. So Nuno got me my first record deal and major manager back then. And yeah, he helped me a lot. Very talented.
And with you coming over from LA to get to London, you must have been, well, I don't know so much really because you're coming from LA, but the musical side of that part of London, particularly Tottenham Court Road, it's quite diverse. How did picking those little bit and quite live as well, you know? Do you pick up musical influences as you walk around and as you go around? Because there's a lot there.
There's a lot there. Usually for me to pick up on something musically, it requires longer than 1 second or a few seconds or even a few minutes. It's one of the reasons I love traveling. And instead of collecting pictures, I typically collect songs by going
Hmm.
to different places. I love being the minority. I love being the awkward, weird person and the only one who doesn't understand the culture so I can learn it.
Okay.
So there's so much music and there's so much talent there. That's without question because it's just a melting pot of so many different
Yeah.
cultures and backgrounds. And that's pretty unusual for a lot of the US. It's hard to find, even in big cities like New York. I mean, that's probably the closest thing you could find in the US. But even in Nashville and LA and stuff, you get other cultures, but it never seems to be anywhere near as equal as like American culture, which to me is quite boring, and always has been. Um, so what I like to do is typically I just get a plane ticket. I mean, pre-COVID, of course, to wherever, and I bring my guitar and I write music based on what I think the culture offers. I went to Ireland. I spent a lot of time in Northern Ireland, and then moving south down to Republic of Ireland, and I had so much fun. I would go to different pubs all around, and I would sit in with the trad guys and just hang out and
Right.
gals and sit and mess around with tunings and actually get immersed in the culture. And I've gotten to do that all over the world. So that's typically how I learn. I like to study from the people there because I'm a little bit old school. But yeah,
Right.
that's one of my favorite things to do is pick up stuff from other people who are from those cultures or know them really well.
Okay. You picked up a guitar at 10. I picked up my first guitar with the intention of playing at 53, which was last year.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah, well, it's I can swap chords a bit now, and that's about right. No, I'm not going to pick mine up. Mine's right behind me, and mine's there.
What do you have?
Mine's there. Mine's there. One of those.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
I've got electric one downstairs as well. But so as an aspiring guitarist, hit me with some tips.
Okay. All right. So I know it's lockdown. Where in the UK are you? Are you up
I'm in
north?
Liverpool, or just outside Liverpool,
Yeah. Okay. I'm
home of
getting
the
pretty good with
Beatles.
recognizing the accents. Um, so what I would recommend is I know it's lockdown right now, but if you're gonna and it's so what I mean by lockdown, it's hard to I'd imagine to get any sort of teacher. What you should get as an up and coming guitarist is to not skip the basics. The basics are really they tend to be really boring, at least when you start, because you just want to like do all the cool stuff and the solos and
Yeah.
things. But I can tell you that everything that I do, the most frustrating thing that happens is even though I went to music school, a lot of the things I should have focused on, the gaps that I have, the biggest are the basic things sometimes. So really understanding, how many sharps are in the key of D and what they are, and understanding like in a major scale, what are the chord structures. So you have like
Okay.
major, minor, minor. You want to start with basic theory because, and I say that not because it's fun, but because as you start building, you want to have a good curriculum so you can actually build instead of get really good technically but have no understanding of how to use
Right.
it.
Okay.
Which works. You can still do it. I mean, if you were to ask Brian all those questions, he wouldn't be able to answer you. But
Right.
what I find is nowadays with the access that people have to YouTube and things,
Mm.
it's harder to communicate with other people as you grow. So find somebody or a class online. I like TrueFire a lot. I don't get paid by them. I actually pay monthly. I don't work with them at all. So TrueFire.com.
Okay.
Get a
Okay.
subscription to them. I think it's like $10-$20, or I don't know what that would be in pounds. Like not
About the
much.
same.
Okay. Yeah, the pound's a bit stronger than the dollar right now, but yeah, it's not much. And then do one of their actual curriculums where they build it up for you.
Okay.
And then you should get yourself a teacher and really work on chord progressions, chord voicings, and get your fingers comfortable with that. Because if you can do that, seriously, the soloing, and stuff and all that technical stuff is much easier than
Okay.
understanding that. And you can't build on that stuff after a while. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen the guys and gals that they can play a billion notes per minute, but then they can't do like a really sweet solo like, you know, David Gilmour thing.
Yeah.
No, you don't want to be that. There's a lot of that. You want to get the basics, get the classic stuff down and build from there.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Right, I'll do that then. I'm obviously doing it wrong, but there you go. I'm going to come back to the album for about the last 5 minutes of this. Okay, you've already said that it was recorded in October before lockdown.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that the final touches to it were put together during the COVID, before the COVID pandemic sort of struck us. Did that method sort of open up doorways, or did it close things down? Did it give you like a different sort of appreciation of how it's all put together?
Oh, definitely. I think when time passes, you can see more clearly. And that's definitely the case for me. As time moved on, there were things that I really liked about what I did and things that I'm like, oh, I could have done that better. Yeah, COVID moved it back about a year because we were trying to time the album release around the guitar for a few different reasons. So the factory got shut down during COVID, so that hurt a lot of the time frames that we had. But yeah, so we actually were gonna do another single. We were gonna use the single Digital World, but then we changed that because my publicist said that radio might not love that little in between part in that breakdown part in the song.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, radio won't like that. I'm like, well, okay, I get it. So we and I have a music video for it, and so we've changed quite a few things regarding that, and also different songs, so I can kind of see them in a new light when I think of those as singles. Because when I write songs, I don't think of them like that. Like, oh, that's the single, that's the hit. Like that would drive me. But other than those minor things, not much has changed other than me mentally preparing myself for the next album. Because even though no one's heard this one other than you and a few other people, I'm so sick of it now. So I'm ready for something else.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. Until you can play it live, I'm assuming.
Yeah. When I can play it live, that's exciting. I've experimented with one show I did on the Isle of Wight. I played 2 of the songs. I think I played Digital World and Living in a Fortress. And other than that, I've never played. And I don't think
Which is a beautiful song, Living in a Fortress.
Oh, thank you.
It really is. It's really powerful and emotive, and it really gets you going. Really, it's great, and it's coming second to. Is it second to the last? I think on the running list. It's coming off. It's sort of coming down that final slope towards the end of a roller coaster ride. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
It is really, really nice. And how do you find writing easy?
It depends. So I have seasons. Where, and I hate this. I hate that I have this. Sometimes I'm just dried up, and there's nothing, and it's quiet in my head. Other times I have music constantly coming in my head where I can't keep up with it. And unfortunately, I can't control it. And although I can sit and write a song whenever I want, I like it when they're inspired, because I think those are the best ones that I've written usually. Sometimes it can inspire me to write a song if I work with someone else who's inspired, and I can kind of like pick up on their vibe. But yeah, so right now I'm in a creative mode, but sometimes I'm not.
Okay. And just finally, I'm going to have to end on some fun stuff. So I'm going to give you 2 choices. You need to pick one as fast as you can.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Not too hard, I promise.
Uh-oh.
Not like, what's your favorite Queen song? It's not that. Okay.
Really
so
hard.
yeah, mine changes daily. Okay. So ready? Chocolate or yogurt?
Yogurt.
Right. Okay. Wine or milk?
Almond milk?
Sorry, wine and milk.
Does almond milk count?
Oh yeah, that counts. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So you go for
almond
both.
milk.
Okay.
Alternative.
Are you a video gamer or a board gamer?
Oh, both are really boring. Board gamer.
Board gamer, like Monopoly.
Yeah, I can do Monopoly all day.
Monopoly all day. Okay. And finally, if you had to, other than your guitar, the two-tone,
Uh-huh.
what two luxuries would you take to your desert island?
Oh, two.
Not your
Okay.
guitars.
No guitar. I'm like looking around like, oh dear. Okay. You said do this quick. Okay, a notebook and a notebook and of course a pen. So that counts as
Yeah,
one.
that's one. That's one
Okay.
item.
Um, um, some seeds of an assorted variety.
An assorted variety of sand-loving seeds.
Yeah, that'll grow there.
Yeah, see, I'm not going to try and say that too quick. An assorted variety of sand, whatever it was I said, sun savory seeds. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Arielle, the album, honestly, is an analog girl in a digital world. I mean, my word, what a fabulous album it is. It's out in May here, I believe. May the 21st?
May 7th.
May 7th. Okay, it was May. I'm pretty impressed if I got that right.
Hey, you got it right.
It was May. It's only 2 weeks ahead.
It's all the same to me.
Right, but it's out in May. Hopefully, we'll be able to see you performing it at some point very, very soon.
Absolutely. I'll be touring. My main focuses are typically the UK and the US. So I'll definitely be touring that, and it's my favorite. I mean, I basically moved to the UK because I love touring there so much. I just love everything. So I'll be coming and playing the music, and I always hang out and say hi to everybody because that's half the fun. So
Fabulous. I can't wait to meet up with you. I'll be doing a review shortly for Total Entertainment and a couple of other people. And it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for taking so much time to talk to us.
oh, well, thank you so much. I love your energy, Chris, and it was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you. And hopefully do it again soon.
Yeah, anytime. Just reach out. Thank
Cheers.
you.
All the best. Keep safe. Yeah.
You too. Stay safe out there. Stay warm.
All the best. Bye bye now.
Yes.